Here's Johnny.
Say something, man. Any people in church in here? Anybody that does church in here? Go to church every Sunday? I need y'all to pray that my baby mom has sex with Charlie Sheen with no condom. I'm tired of it, man. It don't make sense for somebody to take a shot to the coochie and get $600 a month. Can I at least get my oil changed sometimes?
Welcome to the Uncensored podcast. I got a special guest, Sam Helwig. How you doing today, man?
Good, Rod. How about yourself?
Man, it's a nice sunny day. It's not cold yet, so it ain't much to complain about, man.
Not yet. And who cares anyway if you complain?
Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah, nobody really cares. How you know what I mean? Who is Sam?
Well, Sam just turned 53 years old yesterday. And just a working man. Got a wife. I got a 14-year-old daughter. Got a little started a little later in life, but my wife, luckily for me, my wife, beautiful woman. She's 11 years younger than me. Unfortunately, she definitely has she has bad judgment in men. So I was able to marry her. So as you can see, I'm sitting at work right now. I know we're talking about comedy, but for most people, that doesn't pay the bills. So I've been working same place for 26 years, and hopefully I'll finish out my career here. For past couple years, I started doing some comedy. And got addicted to it. I mean, it's like a drug. And, I know you go on stage sometimes yourself, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But it's addicting. And, I just love making people laugh.
So when you was growing up, Sam, did you always have the skills early on, when you were a younger man or whenever? Did you always have the skills to make people laugh?
I think so. At least that's what people told me. I remember when I was a young kid, I was born in 1971, and my father had a bunch of albums. He had Bill Cosby's, this was before Bill was raping women on a nightly basis, but he had Bill Cosby albums and Red Fox albums. Of course, Bill Cosby's comedy was clean and Red's wasn't. But I memorized every single word of those albums. And my first shot on stage, I was 11 years old. And at my church youth group, Bill Cosby did a skit of Noah in the Ark. You may have heard it before. But I memorized it word for word. And I went on the church youth group, and I made fun of Noah in the Ark. And some people found it funny. And as you can imagine, some did not. But yeah, I just, when you say that I have the skill, I've always had the skill to make people laugh. But going on stage and doing it, that's a different level, a different type of skill, to be able to stand there and you're supposed to deliver a joke every 20 seconds. You got to deliver a joke, make it hit, hopefully find something that most of the people in the audience find funny. But yeah, just the skill and the desire to make people laugh. Yeah. Since I can remember, that's always been in me.
That's funny because I just listened to, Red Fox old album, Wash Your Ass.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's funny you said that, man. I think it's always great to get influenced and get exposed to funny. You know what I mean? I like a lot of different things. I sometimes I do my homework. I listen to Rodney Dangerfield, right? Because he was so self-deprecating, you know what I mean? And he has with words, fast pace, and I'm like, damn, like how do you come up with some shit like that? You know what I mean? So it's good always to get the inspiration from somewhere. Doesn't matter what kind of the color the vessel is, you know what I mean? Funny is funny.
Yep. Yeah. About 2 years ago, I a small office staff where I work, and most of my comedy is about myself. Number one, I experienced it. I was there when it happened. Everything that I talk about, all of my skits were not necessarily funny when it happened, but you find humor in it. I even name of my website is Laugh or Cry, because that's the choice. Something happens, you can either laugh about it or cry about it. But some of my, just telling stories and making my coworkers laugh. They said, you really should do comedy, and I've heard that a lot, throughout my life. You should do comedy. And I always said no. It's where, how, how do I get on stage? And I don't want to go to Philly or DC or Baltimore. I got to get up and go to work the next day. So they did some research for me. They said there's a place in Havre de Grace, and they have an open mic. I believe it's the third Thursday of every month. They have an open mic run by outfit called Big Timing Comedy. They're a local comedy group for Harper County, Maryland, Salisbury. So I went to it, and I took everybody that I work with went to the open mic. You get about 4 or 5 minutes if you're lucky. But I had a large group of people that went with me, and I guess we can get into a little bit more if we talk about like how to get started. But I wanted people there to support me. I didn't realize that a lot of open mics are not well attended. They're just you and the comedians, then that's it, right? Yeah. But I didn't know that at the time. I hadn't did one, but I took about 25 people with me.
Jeez.
And the promoters of Big Timing Comedy in this particular case, they like that you're helping to fill up their venue and sell some tickets. And that went great. I had some things, and I asked some people, what do you recommend? What story should I tell? I don't really consider myself a joke teller. I'm a storyteller. I tell stories, and then inside of the story, I put a bunch of jokes. And they told me, do your prostate exam joke. So I did it. It lasted about 5 minutes. Just loved it. Just fell in love with it. There's a joke house in Towson, Maryland called Magoobies that I entered a competition on shortly after I did the first open mic. And took a large group with me to that one too, and came in second place on that one. I was actually the funniest person, but the audience got to vote on the winner, and the person that won had more people there than I did, so they won. But I did win second place, and then I just started getting invited to do paid gigs. When I say paid, $50, $75, $100 as a guest, a special guest. Just going out to different shows, some fundraisers. I did a show at the Ripken Stadium in the club level. Did a fundraiser at Oddfellows Lodge last year, but just always from the same group of guys. Eric Jolicoeur and Stefan Sabatic. I see they're both networked to you through Facebook, but just giving me an opportunity to go out there and do something that I love. So got another show coming up in December. It's a corporate event that I'm going to be doing. So
man, how did you feel when they reached out to you about doing that, man? Just somebody this freshly new, and I'm like, man, somebody really liked my stuff. How did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, obviously it made me feel. I'm gonna get up for 1 second. I got something right here. I'll show you. So I actually framed it and put it in my office. But this is my payment receipt for my first paid gig.
Wow.
That I framed. Got wired over to me electronically. So yeah, I just. Was amazing, that somebody validated that I am funny, at least something is funny. And again, like I said, it helps that I've was bringing a crowd with me, right? So I could sell tickets. I'm not going to discount that. But if I wasn't funny, then I don't think they would have asked me to do it. But yeah, just like I said, it's like an addictive drug. When you can make a room full of people laugh at you, laugh with you, great feeling.
So, man, was your wife supportive of you, jumping in this lane of comedy?
She is. I can tell you, my wife, she does not think I'm funny all the time. So, every joke has a butt. So I try to make sure she's not the butt of the joke. But she's almost always there. She's recording me so that I can memorialize it and watch myself and learn from myself, try to improve my skills better. But, she's always there front and center. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she's been extremely supportive. But she's not the loudest laugher in the room. I'll say that.
Because I watched, I don't know what it was, man. I think it was the booger joke. That was crazy, man. I don't want to put all that out there, but man, like, what is your writing process, man? Like,
yeah, so that's the writing process is a little, again, you can. All of my jokes are based off of real life experiences, but with some liberties, of course. There's some embellishments and some ads and things like that. But it's things that happen to me that actually happen to me. But I've sat down to write new material or improve on material that I already have, and that's very challenging for me. One of the things that challenges me is that. Let's say I'm picking a topic, and I don't know if anybody's ever told a booger joke before. If they have, I haven't heard it. But I do a prostate exam. That's been told God knows how many times, right? That's a common one. So trying to make sure that my joke, my experience is my own, but you hear, I'm a fan of stand-up comedy too. I watch a ton of it. I don't think Netflix, I watch it all. I just can't get enough of it. So I just to try to make sure that my comedy is my own, and I'm not mimicking somebody else, or I wouldn't say I'm stealing their material, but I don't want to sound like them. I don't want to act like them. I don't want to deliver my material the same way. So finding my own niche so that people don't think, well, he's just trying to act like, this comedian or that comedian. But all of material is written itself at some point in time. Everything on there, at least to some degree. I don't know how much of my comedy you listen to, but I mean, yes, I did get kicked off a ride at Disney World because I was too fat. And like I said, that wasn't real funny when it happened, but it's certainly, there's humor in it. I did have an ostrich attack me. I did have a guy flick a boogie in my mouth at a hockey game. All those things actually happened. So the writing process, and I got 53 years of life to draw off of.
And I think that's important to, I'm only 32, right? I started at just recently, 7 months ago. So when I was 31, I'm about to be 32 in November. And I feel like when you write from that your real life and you make a parody out of your life, it's easier to write because it's easier to remember. Like I got a joke where I talk about, I am a functional alcoholic, and I forgot to pay my son from the Tooth Fairy. So, but it's easier to write from that thing and embellish it when it really happened. I can't talk about Rome if I've never been to Rome.
Right.
I only can guess what they do in Rome. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's easier to write from that place when it actually happened.
And you bring up a great point, remembering it when you're on stage, to be able to do 20 minutes of material. That's the longest gig I've ever had, was 20 minutes. I don't know if people realize it. That's a lot of words when you talk nonstop for 20 minutes. And it's a lot of pressure to be funny for 20 minutes too. But yeah, if you're drawing off of real life experiences, you remember it a lot easier than if you're just writing one-liners. You mentioned Rodney Dangerfield. I don't know how he memorizes an hour of that.
Yeah,
because it's just boom, boom, boom. It's one after the other. But yeah, it's fairly easy when you've lived it.
Yeah, I feel like it's so much things when you start this journey of comedy, you can find just working day to day. Or I feel like sometimes now, just since I got into it, my life is like Curb Your Enthusiasm. You see how Larry just walks around? Like I find that kind of funny. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I feel that's how my mind starts to go. Sometimes I take breaks. You know what I mean? Sam, I take a break from it and come back
Right.
or take a walk. You know what I mean? Like they say, the greatest writers take walks that come up with ideas. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes you got to recharge your funny battery.
That's true. Yeah. I recommend keeping, on your phone or on a notepad, whatever works best for you, just keeping that on you at all times so that something happens, you can make a notation of it. This could be a joke. This could be funny, or this could be part of a joke. And even those people that know you do comedy will tell you, hey, you should do that, right? If something happens or you say something quick, that should be part of your next act. Make a notation of it, because when you sit down to write, for whatever reason, you just have that blank mind, right? You need something to remind you. Let me
Mm,
start from this. Let me see if I can make a story out of this. Let me try to see if I can make a joke out of this.
mhm. So man, so what are your goals, man? Out of comedy, do you have any goals? You set goals yearly, or
I, I don't. I haven't set, the sky is the limit. I haven't set any like ceiling goals for
Mhm,
myself, but I don't want to set any goals and then let comedy become something that lets me down, that I
mm,
like I don't enjoy anymore because I'm not reaching my goals. Rod, there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of people are not funny either that think they are. I mean,
mhm,
it's true, right?
mhm,
Um, so it's very hard. It's like I said, I came across this group, and I'm extremely fortunate that they gave me the opportunity. And I've
mhm,
tried to do that with other promoters, with other local comedy places. Dead end after dead end after dead end. You can't get anybody to give you. You can always go to an open mic, but like I said, the open mics, a lot of times you're doing an empty room. And
mhm,
I'm sure you've done some full rooms. You've done some empty rooms.
mhm,
For me, the fuller the room, the more engaged the audience, the more laughter I hear, the funnier I am. The more
mhm,
engaged I am, the more energetic I am, the more
mhm,
ridiculous I am. Versus if I'm just talking to an empty room, a bunch of empty chairs, it's really hard for me to find that energy to get in that. So, just we were talking about goals. My goal is to make sure that it stays fun. So, I haven't done a gig since April, and I have one in December. Like I said, I can go to open mics, and I use open mics now. I go to them. I use them for new material to test them out. Um, Even harder than doing it to an empty room is doing it in an empty, like sitting in your bedroom or sitting on the toilet, practicing material and trying to be funny and recording yourself. So I'll use that open mics for that. But I would like to do more. I would like to get some exposure, some people to say, hey, I would like him to come to my event, do 5 minutes, do 10 minutes, headline it. I don't care. Just
mhm.
an opportunity to make more people laugh. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get that exposure, to get anybody to answer a Facebook, a text message, an email, just to get a response back. Um, you know, Even tell me, hey, dude, you're not funny, so well, you're not invited. You don't get anything.
It's definitely hard to get into, to meet those people, to network with the people, especially in Harford County.
Hmm.
The scene is not very big. Um, and if you don't want to travel, it's hard. You know what I mean? It's a lot of, I tell a lot of people, comedy in general, it's all about tribal. You know what I mean? It's all about tribalism, and
Hmm.
people got their set people, and they don't let people in sometimes. So it's definitely that thing going on. I know this personally. So it's definitely a hard thing to pursue.
Yeah. So my goal was to just keep it fun, to stay, somewhat relevant, keep getting opportunities for exposure. And I do little things. I've I've taken some, I've paid professional comedians or people that even teach comedy to look at some of my work and give me some tips, give me some pointers. Don't be afraid of criticism or feedback. Take the criticism. You should want that more than you want the praise. I had my last gig I did. I'm actually going to use it in my in my next show, but the feedback was, don't hide behind the mic. Move the mic stand out of the way. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you thought I was hiding behind a mic stand, but but that was just some feedback that I got. Move the mic stand out of the way. Whatever. So yeah, that's my goal. Just to keep doing it. And, hopefully, maybe when I get older, get the retirement age, there is some income with it, but I'm not planning on that for retirement.
Yeah. So you say you got a show in December, right?
Yeah.
So where's that gonna be at?
So it's somewhere in the Columbia area. I don't have a ton of information on it yet, but this particular show is closed to the public. It's a corporate event. Could be a Christmas party or a fundraiser or something like that. But it's a closed event. A little bit of a relief. I don't have to bring an audience, bring my own audience to it. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
So you managing yourself then, or they big time and just hook you up with the gigs, or they're managing you?
No, they're not managing me. They invite me. They're booking gigs, and of course they've got other comedians too. I don't know, it could be 20, 30, 40 that they have in their network. Mm-hmm. And so they give opportunities to everybody, but this would be the fifth show that I've done with them that's not an open mic.
Okay. So would you consider yourself a clean or an in-between comic?
Yeah, I'm an in-between. I mean, some of the subjects I talk about, I have a prostate again. I'm talking about my asshole when somebody's finger in it. It's hard to tell that clean. But then I've got the one getting kicked off a ride for being too fat. That's a fairly clean joke. I can cuss in it or I can not cuss in it, depending on who my audience is. I always ask before a gig who my audience is. Is there anything that's going to be off limits? Anything I don't want to talk about? And they'll let me know. For instance, the one that I did, I had a room full of drunk rednecks. So great audience, love to laugh, but I was told don't say anything bad about Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that might, mad, so.
That might be Mississippi burning. So you did the right thing.
So yeah, I had one of my coworkers go with me who was is black, and this is so he nice guy, good attitude. He went there, but he got out of the car, and I met him in the parking lot, and he said, "Sam, you didn't tell me we were going to a Klan rally." I said, "Well, I didn't necessarily know." I said, "There were chickens running around in the parking lot." So.
Jeez, man, that sounded like a wild time right there. That sounded like a wild
it was.
time.
It was a good time, though. Like I said, it's a good crowd.
So, man, you said Bill Cosby and Red Fox, man, were your influences, man. What kind of people now that you like to watch?
I mean, it's a really diverse. There's plenty of comedians that I don't find funny. Some I find funny sometimes. Like, I've never thought that Jerry Seinfeld, for example, I never thought he was real funny at stand-up, but the last show that he did with Netflix, I thought was hysterical. I mean, I like the real raunchy stuff, like Jim Jeffries. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before, but he's real raunchy. Dave Chappelle. I'm not one. I don't get offended when I listen. I don't get offended anyway, but I don't get offended certainly when I'm listening to comedy. I feel like if you're going to get offended, don't go to a comedy show or don't turn on a Dave Chappelle special if what he says offends you. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could talk for hours about that as far as comedy goes as well, but I'll leave it at that. Wanda Sykes, some of the old school, Eddie Murphy, the Kings of Comedy. Cat Williams. I think he's fantastic. So, very, very diverse group that like you said, funny is funny, and not everything is funny to everybody, but there's not, one particular style of comedy that I think it's got to be this, or I don't think it's funny. I think I do gravitate more towards the storytellers than I would be the one-liners. George Carlin, is very good at what he does in his one-liners, but not necessarily my cup of tea. So the storytellers are the ones that,
Yeah, I think that's important, just to look at everything. Like I like Stephen Wright. You know what I mean? He got some real contrast stuff, right? You like, damn, candle stores get lit on fire, you know what I mean? Stuff like, and he got like a real different voice. I don't really like to do voice pitches and up and down with my voice, but I'm trying to master that. But I like somebody that can say a joke with a serious face. I think it's different, you know what I mean? Or but I have, you know what I mean, stuff where I got put out of open mics for, you know what I mean?
You got put out?
Yeah, I got put out of open mic for just joking about. I have a joke where if anybody anybody with an ex-wife or exes, I feel like you can use your trauma and a bad situation I had prior to make it funny. But there's a lot of liberal and feminist groups that, you can listen. Let's say Reba, whatever, or Dolly Parton can talk about her ex-husband or something, whatever. But men, we can't make a joke out of a woman. It's a problem. But they can profit off ours. You know what I mean? Our sorrow and laugh. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of PC stuff going on.
Yeah, too much. Yeah. Now, I mean, some of the big acts can get away with a lot more than you and I can, Rod. But,
a lot.
So, yeah, like I said, I try to stick to myself as the butt of the joke, and then that's safe.
Safe.
Yeah, it's safe. Nobody can say I was offensive to them. So, but yeah, I mean, just like I said, building relationships, this opportunity to talk to you. I mean, you just reached out looking for people to come on your podcast. I said, I don't know if 1,000 people listen to you or one person listens to you, but whatever it is, just a chance, even if I'm just talking to you, for a half hour or whatever, just to get your perspective and, some of the things that have challenged you and why you do it.
I feel like personally, comedy helped me in a lot of things, you know what I mean? With just some mental things I had going on, little mental fogs I had. I feel like men, sometimes we just come home and go straight to watch the nearest football game, and we don't use our mind enough. And I feel like comedy was the thing to help me use my mind and give me a little extra motivation, you know what I mean? And I think that's important, you know what I mean? Because we're just supposed to work and die, provide for your family, and work and die. And it brought some little fun to my life. You know what I mean? Comedy has. So there's a lot of things I got from it. Learned a little bit more about myself too by doing comedy.
Sure. Yeah, especially if you're who you're talking about. Yeah. So, what else can I tell you?
Oh man, I think we got everything, man. Can you let the people know where they can get at you and stuff like that, man?
Yeah, so I have a website, and again, without making a lot of money, I haven't spent a lot of money, so it's a long URL. Is it something I can post to the comments of the
Yeah.
I don't even know if they could find me if they Google me. It's just a free site. But yeah, once you post it, I'll put some links on there to to where they can find me, how they can listen to some of my material. I'll update my website when I have my website, my Facebook page. I'll put a link to that on there as well if anybody wants to connect to me, where they can see some of my work, maybe book me for an upcoming show. I wouldn't mind that. And then, you and I can stay in touch as well, too. I don't know, get together one time, write some jokes, bounce some stuff off one another. It would be awesome.
Sure. Again, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Go follow him at Sam Helwig. And I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Rod. Pleasure to get to talk to you. And hopefully we can do it again.
All right, man. And it's been another episode of Rod Uncensored Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I am out.
Thanks, Rod.